1. About 3 or 4 years ago, I worked at a hotel about a town over. It wasn't anything extravagant, and honestly, I see it as maybe a step or two up from a motel. It was a small hotel with, I think, a couple of hundred rooms. I decided to work there because I wanted something that paid hourly, so if I worked overtime, I could be paid for it. And I was kind of over just sitting at a desk all day. Besides workplace drama from a single coworker that was supposedly jealous of me, and because I was now the hot front desk girl, whatever, I was happy to be working there. People would bring me dinners or snacks. I got to know a couple of regulars. I didn't mind helping housekeeping. I enjoyed my laundry time away from the desk. I'd gotten so good at folding sheets and towels. It was usually just me at the desk an hour or two into my shift. I'd even gotten tips for what I saw as just doing my job. I loved it, honestly, and miss it sometimes. One day, maybe 2 or 3 months into my working there, a massive storm came through and knocked out power for 3 towns surrounding the hotel. The storm even threw a bunch of shingles from our roof into the parking lot. It was horrible. And the only places with power were the hotels. Yay! Of course, like usual, I was the only one on shift. It was bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. All of a sudden, my 5 to 10 checkouts, with maybe 4 or 5 calls a night, went to a lobby full of people and the phone ringing off the hook back to back to back. I was freaking the fuck out and incredibly overwhelmed. I texted everyone that works front desk to ask for help and no one answered. So I put on my big girl panties and came up with the best system I could. I would help so many walk-ins, then answering my phone. My head was spinning, but many guests commended me on my efforts, and some even offered to help. Well, about a couple hours into the hell that was the guest-a-thon, no one but 2 co-workers reached out, one called, one texted, asking if I had space to put them up for the night. I told them I don't think I'll have room for them, and being the cheeky, frustrated little bitch I felt like, I told them they're more than welcome to help me at the desk, though. The one that called nervously laughed and said, "No, I can't do that," and hung up while the one that texted didn't respond. Okay, screw y'all too. Finally, things died down after so many hours. Then a couple of people that normally stay with us came to check in. Me trying to get all the walk-ins handled and being overwhelmed, I goofed and booked my last 2 clean rooms, but I had a couple of dirty ones I could put them in. I apologized profusely and told them if they would be okay waiting in the lobby, I have a couple of rooms I could clean. Thank God for me shadowing the housekeepers when it was slow, and get set up for them I could put them in. Well, half of the duo was fine and said he'd be alright with waiting, while the other guy wasn't having it. He tore into me for booking their rooms, and it was unacceptable I didn't have something ready right now. I frustratedly but gently explained that the storm was still happening, knocked out power for the 3 nearest towns, and the hotels were literally the only places with their lights still on. And told him again if he gives me some time, I can get something ready for them. Well, rather than letting me hop to it, he insulted me, saying I was poorly trained and I should never have been assigned to this shift or allowed to work here because I don't know what I'm doing and where's my manager. I apologized and said, "You're right, I haven't been trained for such an instance. Because no one expects the power to go out for 3 towns. The general manager is out of town on vacation, with the only way to reach her being her cell phone. And it's late at night. I'd hate to disturb her." I again asked him to please give me a moment, and I'll get my 2 dirty rooms cleaned up perfectly so they can sleep. He grumbled something about going elsewhere, and I mentioned these were the last couple of rooms I know of in the area. So off I went to clean as well as I saw the girls do, tore down and put together with clean linens both rooms, vacuumed. I thoroughly apologized to the guests that came out because the vacuum woke them, and told them again I'm incredibly sorry about the wait, but their rooms are ready. The one person was just thankful he could finally rest and went to his room, while the other guy grumbled and told me he'll still try to get in touch with my manager about the hassle the next time he's back, and went to bed. God, even now I'm so angry about that man. I understand his frustrations, but I was alone and doing my best. My GM, when she got back the following week, told me what a great job I did and that a bunch of glowing reviews were left on Google, TripAdvisor and whatnot about the job I'd done. She said she was proud of me, but Next time to just call her so she can personally call the other front desk people and have them come in. And she did hear from the one unhappy person, but was able to get him to see reason and calm down. About a month after all this, the general manager left, and I left not long after her for a higher paying opportunity. So I'll never know if such a thing happened again. 2. At 2:48 a.m., the janitor comes up and gets me. She tells me there's some weird guy pacing outside the bar doors. So I go outside to see what's up, and he's gone, but since it snowed a bit earlier in the day, his footsteps are visible. So I track them through the entire hotel. We are 16 acres of land. He visits every section of the hotel, and goes down a few private roads in the property. I didn't find him, so I went back to the front office to check security cams to see if I can find him myself there. He avoided all the cameras, and the only thing that can be seen is his shadow on one of them. At 3:40 a.m., a car speeds through the driveway, and then stops at the exit to the main street, looking like he's gonna turn left. I'm outside smoking at this point, just watching his car. He sits there for probably 10 minutes when a cop passes. He waits till the cop isn't visible anymore and then hits reverse, backs up into the bar parking lot, tires squealing a bit. He puts it in drive and pulls into the area by the front desk where our dumpster sits, and parks it. He just sits in front of it, lights on, for another 5 minutes. Then he gets out and comes to the lobby. He immediately heads to the bar, so I stop him. "Hey, so everything is closed up down there?" "I'm looking for my brother." "He isn't here, man. Bar's been closed since 12:30 a.m.
"Bullshit. I was here at 2 a.m.
"I don't know where you were, but I assure you it wasn't here. The bar closed at 12:30, I promise you that."
"This is such bullshit."
He then proceeds to ignore everything he was just told and storm down to the bar anyway. So I pick up my phone and call non-emergency and request the police while watching him walk into the bar with all the lights out. He looks around for a minute and then turns and leaves. I advise the dispatch that he's left the building and he's now out on the property in his car and give the color and type of car he's in. Then I pull up the video and show it to the janitor, who goes, "Yeah, that's the guy that I told you about earlier." I'm like, okay, so I text security and let him know what's going on. And security goes, "Oh yeah, he's a guest. His brother went home with that well-known crackhead, you know the one, Kraken Rose." So now I'm sitting here dreading them checking out in the morning, because I called the cops on him, and he is going to, of course, be angry about it. I've let the GM know, and the front desk manager know what's going on and why. Side note on why his suspicious behavior got more than a shrug. The vending machines in the hotel have been broken into with startling frequency over the last few months. Locks drilled out, etc. 3. Hey everybody. So I'm sharing an experience that happened to me today at work. I'm a front desker at my hotel, which is a low-tiered luxury hotel. This past week we recently opened our rooftop bar, which has been majorly successful for the most part, as we also had 2 separate wedding parties at our 118 hotel room. Today, though, there was so little traffic upstairs, our bartender was told to leave and head over to our sister property, which needed bartending. About 10 minutes later, our bartender has come back to punch her times and give me a plate of food that was left over. She always hooks me up because we both worked at BWW years ago together. We have a woman come down and slams her fist on the counter to get my attention. I'm in the back room printing out my paperwork while I'm speaking to her about the day's traffic and how she had to deal with a rude guest. Prepay, authorization forms, the usual boring stuff. And come out to see what I can do to help. Let's just call this guest Karen, because that's literally what she was. She's with 2 men and tells me it's unacceptable that the bar is closed because it's part of the amenities and she paid for the service. I told her I was very sorry, but our owner had requested she move to the other property due to low traffic in the bar. But I would be happy to serve at our minibar downstairs in the lobby. Karen doesn't like this, and goes off about how unprofessional the hotel is, and how I'm clearly not trained to be working in service. Because if I really wanted to make it right, I would open the bar upstairs. By this last statement, she has begun to yell. I again told her how sorry I was, but she need not yell. as I am speaking in a regular voice and am trying to help find a solution. So Karen takes this as an attack, throws her pen and paper at me, then reaches over the desk and grabs me by the tie and yanks me forward. She tells me she wants the GM's number now. So, solely in self-defense, I twist her wrist until she releases her grip, and I released her wrist as soon as she let go. I immediately inform her I'm calling the police and she needs to leave, and she starts clutching her wrist saying I attacked her and she wants the GM's number as she's going to put me out of a job, and that she wasn't leaving as I didn't have the right to do that. I reach over to the phone and speed dial 911 on speaker. I explained I was attacked by a guest and had asked her to leave. She begins to cry and yell, looking at the other guest and her two friends in the lobby like, "Can you believe he's talking about me like this?" But the other guest immediately turns sheepish and start leaving. After being told by the operator that a police officer was headed over, I told them I could handle it until they got here. I informed her she needed to take her things out of her room before the cops get here. When the cop finally arrives, she's still crying in the lobby, like actual tears, snot, and she's ripped her mask off. And her two friends have come up to try to reason with me, saying, "She's had a couple of drinks. She has temper issues that get worse when she feels like people aren't listening to her side of the story. You didn't need to twist her wrist, you could have just told her to stop. We're from Florida. Where's she supposed to sleep?" In my mind, I'm like, in the sewer. I don't really care where she puts her head down, as long as it's not on my hotel's property. Obviously, I didn't say that, though. And then asked if they were being removed too. I informed them they were not being removed, as the two gentlemen had different rooms they were booked in. But she was barred from our hotel permanently, and she would be charged for the night, but by checking her out, she would not pay for the remaining 6 days. By this point, the police have come up again to talk to me, so I excuse myself. They ask to see the footage of what happened, and after playback, they escort her to the patrol car and off the premises. And the lobby is finally quiet again. There wasn't much advice I was looking for, but I really just wanted to vent to people who may have been in similar, if not worse, situations. And by the way, the two guests with her were her brothers, apparently. I'm usually pretty well liked by guests. I have many positive reviews written about us, and I've been name-dropped in more than 12 reviews, even though our property has only been open for about a month and 25 days. I have good relations with many of our returning guests, and I recognize that our hotel is expensive, so why shouldn't you expect to be pampered a little? But this woman was also the second guest I've had to ask to leave. The first being a man who got drunk and urinated in the elevator on the floor. 4. About a month ago, the receptionist on duty called me to please come to the front desk for backup, sounding really distressed. I came up to find a pile-up of guests waiting to get checked in standing to one side, and all eyes fixed on a loud, fuming woman, who we shall refer to as Hissy Missy, henceforth to the other side. How can I help you? This lady wants to go into the lounge area, but it's not allowed. Did you not explain that the common areas are sealed off for public health reasons? Your website doesn't say anything about that. Yes, it does, actually. It most certainly does. I want to talk to somebody. 'Cause this is some BS. COVID is only inside. I want to talk to someone. You are speaking to someone. You are speaking to me. Now, please clarify. What seems to be the problem? I'm supposed to be having a party, and I need the seating area, and all I got in the room is beds. I'm afraid I don't quite follow, madam. Did you not expect to find beds in a hotel suite? What am I going to do with beds? You need to get her, points at the receptionist, to come and get those beds out of there. I called here 2 times and no one ever said a thing about it. I can show you my phone records. And that's when I knew precisely what was up. The guest house has a breakfast nook leading to a small back garden. Pre-pandemic, guests were allowed to sit in the breakfast room and have a coffee, and to smoke either in the garden or out in the front porch. Since March, we have barred guests from these areas, and this restriction is cited not only on our website, but in the confirmation email we send out. Hissy Missy booked our largest room sometime in late July after we reopened. She saw at the time of booking that the garden was closed and called, twice to my certain knowledge, to ask for an exception as she wanted to throw a birthday party. We don't even permit parties. another thing stated on the website, the email, and on the registration forms. Both times she was informed that there could be no exceptions on account of the safety guidelines in effect, and coupled with the fact that we don't have the facilities to host parties. We advised her to cancel her reservation since she was well within the non-penalty window. She did not contact the booking site and did not cancel, and now here she was, trying to claim ignorance. She apparently calculated that if she arrived at our front desk and threw a big enough tantrum, she would get her way. Alas, she did not factor in the presence of vivid presentation. That's me. I calmly asked the receptionist through whom the booking was made. When she said, "looking," I smiled, because the information that Hissy Missy was now vehemently pretending not to have ever seen in her life is not only literally blazoned on the first page of our hotel presence, but is one of the first 3 things stated in the confirmation email. It's why she called us twice to begin with. She started yelling about false advertising and that she demanded an exception. I was scrupulously polite and soft-spoken as I reiterated our public health restriction policies. I asked the receptionist to call the general manager. I explained to Hissy Missy that I wanted to be satisfied that the information was, in fact, published by having an impartial pair of eyes view the site extemporaneously. In any event, regretfully, no one is allowed in the common areas, and we never permitted parties, even before the crisis. I advised her to contact Looking and request a cancellation under the circumstances.
Y'all are gonna give me my money back. This here is some false information and false advertising. Y'all don't know that COVID is only inside. I want to use the garden for my party, and that's outside.
At this juncture, I can only apologize for what appears to be a misapprehension on your part. Considering the current health crisis, it has been decided to seal the areas of the premises in question. No exceptions. I must apologize for the disappointment. She must have finally realized she was not getting her way, because she turned around and stomped on every single step back up to the room, literally stomped as hard as she could, like a toddler housed in a remarkably generous adult body. I was incredibly proud of myself for restraining my merriment. Nevertheless, I did ask the receptionist to ensure Hissy Missy didn't vandalize the room out of malice. As it happened, while she didn't break anything, she did console herself by taking all of the towels in the suite on her way out. 5. I do not work for the hotel in question, but I do work for a tour operator as a resort representative, and I have a story for you from the summer before COVID. This was our busiest hotel, so we had a really good relationship with the GM and receptionists, and I was one of the few that actually spoke the local language, so the hotel staff warmed up to me. This helped me get upgrades or better compensation for customers that had issues. So during one of my visits to the hotel, I had a nervous mother run up to my desk, skipping the clear line of people that were waiting to see me whilst I was assisting an elder couple. The woman requested to be seen ASAP due to an issue. I kindly told her that I would see her after the people that were waiting before her. She left in a huff. At the end of my visit, the mother turns up demanding a room change. This must be a serious issue, I thought, as we never had issues in the hotel where room changes were required. The mother claimed that a foul stench was emanating from her bathroom. I spoke to reception about the issue and sent the maintenance team up to their room ASAP to have a look at the issue. But no issue was found. They checked the shower, the sink, and the toilet, so I relayed this information to the customer, but she wasn't happy at all. She could smell it. She wanted a room change. At this point, I looked at the booking for her room type. I found that the family was in the cheapest room in the annex, not in the smarter-looking main building, so I asked where she would like to move to. To my surprise, she wanted to move to the top floor of the main building, as she put it, the higher room. The foul smell would have a lot more pipes to travel. This was ridiculous, as the difference in price between the room types was 120 more per night. So I told the customer that we couldn't warrant the move to the main building, as there was a big price jump between the room types. So I could offer a room on the other side of the annex, previously checked with reception. The mother kept insisting in the smell, so I offered to go up with her to the new room to check to see if there was one. After arguing for a further 15 minutes and seeing that I wouldn't budge, she agreed to come with me. The room had just been cleaned, and I could only smell the cleaning product used by the cleaners. I ran the shower and sink for 2 minutes with the customer, and again no smell. The customer stated that it didn't smell, but she wanted the upgrade as compensation for the smell in her other room. At this point I'm getting annoyed. The hotel staff had been to her room and didn't smell anything, so I said no, sorry, it wasn't possible. The woman left and didn't want the room change. I head back down to reception to report what had happened to the manager, but was rudely interrupted by the customer's shouting husband. The husband shouted at me in front of all the people in the lobby, demanding a room change, as we've ruined their holiday, and wanted to speak to my supervisor as I was incapable of fulfilling my role as a customer helper. My superior wasn't available, and we wouldn't be calling them anyway, as they believe we are capable of dealing with situations like these without their input. The husband wasn't happy and stated that he wouldn't move from reception and would tell anyone that walked in the lobby, hotel guest or not, that the hotel was horrendous, stank, and make them walk away. I stood in disbelief with the reception staff. The manager then stated that if the customer would choose to do this, they would be evicted from the hotel, and the police would be called. The police here don't mess around, and the customer knew this. The same police and hotel where they removed a woman from the pool during lockdown. The GM had been alerted of the situation at this point, and told the customer in a very firm manner their options: stay in their current room, move to the alternative room shown, or to be evicted. Customers reluctantly chose to stay in their current room. I left when customers went back to their towels by the pool. The next day, I had to cover another hotel, but I contacted my manager for an update, if any. My manager said that the cleaners found some foul-smelling socks in a plastic bag under the bed. There was a smell, but not the hotel's sewage, the husband's sweaty socks. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 61. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you liked the video, then please do boop the like button. It helps me get more views on the channel. And also, if you're feeling up to leaving a comment, that would be appreciated. And if you're feeling adventurous, hit subscribe, and as this is a hotel video, ring that bell to be notified when more videos go up. Now, what day is this? Monday? I think it's Monday. It is Monday. Right, I've got my vaccine tomorrow. Is there a birthday shout? Oh, there's a birthday shout out tomorrow, so I'll have to remember to do that in tomorrow's video. I'll try and get that done before I go to bed, though. Just so I've got the day to veg out when I come back. My sleeping schedule is so messed up right now. I woke up at 7 p.m. Yes, you may judge me, because that's bad even for me. So I'm essentially just going to stay awake, because my vaccine appointment's at 8:45, I think. Then I'll need to wait around, because my ride has theirs in the same. But it just worked out that family members, my sister and her partner, they've got theirs around about the same time. Well, a little bit later, in the same day, in the same location. So I'm getting a ride from them. I hope the second one, in a few months' time, it's 12 weeks, I believe, is also in the same location but at the same time. Okay, I'm rambling, so I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.